Thanks for coming to Wednesday Community Call. I usually post the recording to YouTube and we can get started. I hope everyone can see my screen. And so far, we have all of our people except for a few Microsoft people, but maybe we can start out. Did anyone have one, Chris, other than the one I know you want to talk about? Did anyone have one they wanted to start with this morning? Or something we wanted to cover from last week?
I think pull request 290, I feel like it's ready to be merged. Gohan left 2 comments about a couple of fairly innocuous items, more like questions than problems. And we responded, they're just backlog items overall. So I don't think there's any major objections to what's in there, the content. Not here today to finish up anything, but there was no serious complaints, no requests for changes. So it seems to me like it's ready to be merged. And this is like the 4th go around.
Yeah.
So we propose we merge it, and then if something comes up, we'll address it going forward, just like anything.
I think so too. And I think I probably have ability to do that as well. So let me share a different screen here. This screen. And so if everyone on the call, just so you're aware of what we're talking about this one here, Side Challenger. Yep. So we just had a couple of different comments that, like Chris said, are fairly innocuous. And if it doesn't get looked at, maybe I'll just go ahead and approve and merge.
Yeah, the questions are at the bottom, and one of them already resolved.
I am manipulating 3 screens all by myself. Okay. Right, like here?
Yeah. Anton actually resolved that question too. I mean, we could resolve it. It's just a roadmap item. Optimizing one config file format is really not a blocker or a stopper for any reason. It's just, work in progress.
Okay, great. So if necessary, I'll see if I can do this later on today.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yep.
And Christina,
yeah,
we would like to announce new ENI test cases.
Great.
Intel and Anton will talk about it.
Okay. Today. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Let me just finish up here. Thanks, Reshma. That's awesome. What do we have? Oh, you've got it right here. Okay. Do you want me to display, or should I go ahead and let you guys do that?
Hi. It actually doesn't matter because you can display at least file list. I will describe briefly. Oh, content is here actually, so that's in the description of the PR. So I want to just pay attention that it is draft because I have some question, but before question, so the content is that we are adding new ENI test cases and in combination with test plan itself. So right now it will be easier to review because we pushed test plan 217 with PR 217 with test plan, but it's not reviewed without any comments for a while. So I decided to do not wait for a review, and I'm starting pushing the code of the test cases, and I'm pushing next to the test case code as well as test plan. So it will be easier to review to see what is the content and how code looks like. In addition, also right now there's 5 files changed because we moved helper functions to a separate file, sci-utils. So that will be some helper functions that are going to be used in all other test cases. So basically, if you see sci-acl and vnet changes, just moved common stuff to utils. That's it. So no changes to ACL and vnet test cases at all. So only changes in ENI. So please take a look and test plan and the code itself. So
So
now what?
Anton, why don't we just have the PR separated? Like any refactoring can be done as a separate PR versus new functionality as another one, because otherwise I think it will be hard for reviewers, right?
Okay, if it simplifies, I can create a separate PR where I'm moving out common functions, and then I will have a PR with only 2 files. Okay, so not a problem. I will do this. So tomorrow it will be like that. So because I believe that yeah, so moving out common functions, it will be extremely easy to approve because no changes at all.
Yeah, I think that would help. Yeah.
Okay, good,
Sounds
agree. I will do that. So that's easy. Okay, then I will rebase that PR and you will see only 2 files. And next comment I actually had is that my idea was that those test cases should pass on CI, because once we will merge this PR, those test cases and those codes will be running on the PR check. And I found that not all test cases are passing on the BMV2. And my question is actually what? So right now failing get attributes. So that's create, delete works. Like delete with one issue. I explained it earlier. I will repeat. But get set doesn't work. And my question actually, do we expect it to work at all? Like in Dash, I mean that we can get any attributes that we are creating for ENI, VNet, everything like this, or what is expectation? Sorry, I didn't find this in documentation. If I missed something, please point me out. Because like.
So we don't have Marian on the call, but we do have Alexander. Maybe you could help us out, Alexander? From NVIDIA.
I'm sorry, Christina, what was the question?
The question was, it seems that a couple of, what would you call them, test cases in BMV2 continue to fail. Is that right? And do we expect them to work? Is that the right, am I saying it right?
Yeah, some specific test cases for get attributes. Only get attributes. So like create ENI, create VNet does work. But if I try to get some attributes from the ENI, for example, the get request fails. So do we expect that get for any attribute should work for Dash?
Yeah, so we're talking about BMV2, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, it's known backlog that BMV2 libsci needs get and set accessors. They're not implemented, never have been. So it's not just, it's not a bug, it's an enhancement or a feature completion issue.
right.
And also we need the bulk APIs, set and remove bulk, which there's a PR for that, but it's been, I don't know, sitting around. I can't remember the status of that. Marian did. So yeah, it's a feature we need.
That makes sense. Only it looks like Anton tried some get and some of the get is working for VNet and VNI. Maybe in the backlog, the task list that we have for BMV2, for the get set item, we can add more details there that ENI attributes get specifically is not working. And that way we'll be able to focus to add those functionality as soon as possible.
Let me clarify. None of the table objects support get or set at this point. Not even VNet. If anything passed, it was a artifact, right? There's
nothing passing.
Yeah, there's no.
If
the
nothing
only thing
is
you can get,
working,
the only thing you can get are a few dummy attributes that I hand coded in libsci over the last few weeks to support test initialization, like default VLAN, those kinds of things. It returns dummy objects just to get the Python frameworks to function, but there's no code. I mean, the code says not implemented right in the code.
Okay.
So it's a task.
What's the intent
BNI
of? Sorry, quick question. What's the intent of the set? I understand. Obviously, if you want to configure your tables and all that, that's needed. The intention of the get, I don't understand, because whatever you're gonna get from your data plane, I suppose, it's something that the configuration layer has and pushed down. So not sure I understand the notion of the get.
To basically verify that the data plane has actually implemented the, configurations, and at any time be able to do the verification, telemetry, whatever is needed. That's mainly the reason for get. Anton, is that the same that you're expecting in the test cases? Like, suppose if somebody does a show command, we should be able to get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, we even have test cases where we do set for some specific attribute, and we then do get to verify that it's actually changed.
Yeah. Okay, I don't really like that mechanism because the data plane could have a different interpretation, but okay, that's fine.
What about
typically,
statistics? Statistics will use get?
Sorry, what?
Mircea, can you say it again?
Statistics? Yeah, statistics.
Yeah.
How do I get a value of a statistic? Is not a get command?
It should be.
Well,
To me, the get attribute should be for anything that the data plane generates, and statistics is one of them.
Yeah, that's really a philosophical issue. I mean, I think it's worthy. There's different schools of thought. I happen to fall in the camp that anything you can set, you should be able to get as just almost like a configuration loopback. But it's arguable. It's a pragmatic issue. Like you mentioned, Vincent, there might be a transformation when you do the set and you don't want to store the original value because it should have to cache it forever. But that's a philosophy issue, right? A lot of testing involves setting and getting everything just as the first thing. It's almost like a conformance test. But that's just a debate.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Getting, and that's just a group decision. Do we support it or not? Who wants to put the work in? If for a SONiC implementation, you're going to have to support get, whether everything's expected to be bidirectional. So I don't think there's going to be a debate there. The platform will be assumed because SONiC can do whatever it wants with the SI interface, right? So, I'll just put that out there, be prepared. For counters, it's a behavioral model issue, right? We need to define and implement counters for BMV.
Do we have a scale for counters?
A scale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how many counters we support per, I guess they kind of trickled everywhere.
We have a first swing at the counters in the documentation so far. Yeah. Do you want me to show it to you at some point?
No, I'll find
No?
it.
Well, I can send it to you. That's Vincent, right? Is that Vincent
Yeah,
talking?
yeah.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay.
An email or something.
Yeah, that'll work. Thanks.
Okay. So
just to complete the ENI question from Anton, I just want to mention that ENI has a lot of attributes, right? So it will be good to know how it is implemented, whether it is implemented, and the get and set should work for ENI attributes. That would be very helpful.
Alexander, do you know?
I don't know. We need to check with Marian, who is working on BMV2 model.
It sounds good. We can also bring it up in the behavioral model meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Alexander. Okay. Good. And Prince, since you're on the call, you are still on the call. Okay, good. We are thinking we're pretty much ready for 290. Would it have you taken a look at 290 at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll run you through it real quick. There's just a couple of very, very innocuous comments that basically these questions the answer is that they're in our backlog, and it's pretty much ready to go now. And so would it be okay with you guys if I go ahead and approve and merge this one? It's been waiting quite some time, and it's kind of holding up everything else. So,
Oh, this one I think we would need Gohan to sign off.
okay, he's pretty much done
Oh,
most
oh,
everything.
I
Yeah.
think Gohan just signed off. Yeah.
Okay, you think
Yeah.
he signed off?
Yeah.
Oh,
See, you can
13
see, yeah.
seconds ago. Awesome. Good job. Okay, that's great. Great. Thank you. I'm not the expert at GitHub, so I don't always see everything. So thanks,
Awesome.
Prince.
That just came in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yay, Merry Christmas. Okay. Thanks, Prince, for showing me that. So, okay. And so Anton, you're saying I need to add this to BMV2 here?
Yeah, but I would like to add here a few comments that see that still checks for my PR are passing. Because I added additional flag to identify that this is a BMV2 and set get test cases are actually skipped on BMV2. But like if someone wants to run this on hardware, something like that, so that's with changing that flag, it will be possible to run everything. So you can also take a look and check to check this mechanism. Okay, so by tomorrow I will update this PR, so it will contain only like 2 files, so it will be easy to review and easy to actually see how this flag works.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay. Did anyone else have a PR they wanted to cover?
I wanted to raise another topic,
Okay.
and maybe behavioral model meeting can talk about it too. But
Mhm.
yeah, the notion of getting platform metrics, let's say KPIs or attributes about the platform that Dash is running on. For example, it would be nice to be able to ask in a vendor agnostic way for a list of, let's say memory pool size and utilization, CPU loading, all kinds of things like that. The typical Linuxy type of KPIs. And I don't know how this is done, let's say in the standard SONiC world, or if it's done at all. And it's probably not done through SCI, but I think we could add or talk about an API that just says, get platform attributes. And it's just a, let's say, unspecified list of key value pairs. And we could settle on some conventions where, a common set that every platform should supply, and then vendors can add their own. That would be very useful when we start getting into serious testing on real hardware, which
So yeah, so that one I think it's handled by SONiC. So we have this telemetry container, which pull the CPU memory and every process utilize
Nice.
those things. I think it's been unified. So once a vendor running the SONiC, then it should be fine. Yeah. So.
I see.
So I think we have some tests in the SONiC management repo to to allow you to how to get the data from the telemetry. I think there was a GNMI client allowed you to get those data.
Yeah. So that's kind of I suspected, because I know there's a lot of platform info at the SONiC level. Is it worth talking about standardizing that at the SCI interface, or is that?
No, this is nothing related to SCI, right? So SCI is SCI is about the ASIC, right? So this is not. This is about the OS. You could have other control plan process, all these things, right? So it's not really about SCI anymore.
If we were doing, let's say, rigorous testing of DPUs using SCI Thrift, right, which is the Microsoft's preference to have, a single common way of testing all DPUs data plane, We as we're testing and we're interacting with vendors, you know, one-on-one, we do queries using platform commands to get information about memory and other things, which is useful in our dialogues with them. And if we had to wait for SONiC, we wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't be able to do that in a standard way. So we're having to do it in a vendor dependent way. It seems like it's an opportunity to rethink that. And maybe it doesn't need to be a distraction, but I think it's something worth thinking about. So there's let's say a NOS independent way of getting some of this stuff. But you know, that's just an idea.
But it's also for dash specific stuff for ASIC. One item that I care about, it's like how these accelerators are used or the memory for the tables, which is not necessarily a SONiC memory operating system. It's
no, that's a
ASIC
CRM.
memory.
No, that's a CRM, right? So we have this critical resource monitor, right? So, you know, if you're talking about the ASIC table usage, I think, yeah, you know, if that hasn't been defined the size, then we should define the size, right? So, you know, for those data plan, you know, statistics, okay, let's say, you know, how many ENI tables are available, what is the percentage of the ENI tables available, you know, those things I think, you know, should be curable by the site.
Okay. Well,
I remember for the existing resource, we already have them, but I'm not sure about the new resources, you know.
There are quite a few. There are quite a few side objects, you know, switch router, this, that. Is there any way to get more in-depth data on that, Guan?
Yeah. There is like I think if you look at the side header, there's some you know, routes available and next hop available, and
I know they are. I know
yeah,
they are. But
yeah.
regarding what Chris is asking about, you know, platform data or whatnot, can you list those out so we know, you know, at least we need those to be implemented, right? There are quite a few, and I'm sure.
No,
I don't
with
need
the
to implement them
platform
all,
data
right?
that Chris said about the CPU, I don't think we're able to you know, include that. But if you want to know like a ENI, those kind of things, I think we should. If that's
I think
not
there is some sort of a mindset change that we need. Basically, what happens is that in SONiC, generally we have this CPU, which is an external CPU, memory is an external CPU to the from the ASIC point of view, right? So when we come to the DPU case here, we have the DPU ASIC, but essentially the CPU inside this DPU is embedded CPU, and also the memory is also embedded. So, but however, they will be treated, or they should be treated, much like how SONiC treats, you know, the CPU in which you're running the SONiC, and then that they should be monitored in a separate manner, not through SI, right? So SI should only basically be taking care of your DPU tables and you know, talking about how the DPU is performing. So any resources that you have with respect to the DPU tables, that should be monitored, as Guan is mentioning, through CRM. However, the embedded CPU and all the other memory that essentially is required for the SONiC and SONiC execution, that is, again, it should be monitored through the telemetry, which essentially has a GNMI interface that we can actually use, right?
So you all are familiar with this, but from a vendor perspective, I mean, what does it require a set of SI APIs to be there? I mean, I don't know how we plug into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, it does actually require this kind of a the API, or however it may be, right? Much like how you have any platform APIs, it should basically be coming through the platform APIs. Today, what GNMI is providing through the telemetry is eventually is mapping to some platform API to give you the CPU telemetry or you know, fan, power supply, whatever be the case, right? Same thing is
Yeah.
going to happen here, right?
But I think when it comes to the accelerator, I think it's opening up the question a bit because you've got stuff that's a lot more intensive and detailed than fan and power supply and temperature, right? It's almost like data plane platform stuff, and it could be represented by an API. And just remove the ambiguity, because I think saying, well, we have a northbound interface, GNMI, give us all this stuff, and not helping specify, let's say, the southbound interface to the data plane means it's a big question how to implement it.
No, we
Right.
do have the platform APIs, right? SONiC does basically have the platform APIs. I think it's called API 2.0, if I'm remembering correctly.
But will that help you with things like, complex table allocation and memory pool items and CPU performance inside of a DPU? I shouldn't say CPU, DPU or accelerator items. There might even be architecture specific items that can't be exactly standardized, but they're still of interest, right? So, in our experience, we're finding all kinds of things out under the hood, and it's useful to be able to interact with vendors on those items while we're doing scale tests. And I doubt GNMI is ever going to have a specification for all those things, at least not near term, and we could use them yesterday. So that's why I'm just bringing this up. Maybe it needs a little bit of a rethink. I don't think everything fits into the exact SONiC mold because we're breaking new ground. So I think it's worthwhile just talking about it a bit. But we can sleep on it.
Mhm. This is the SONiC repo in case you guys haven't seen it. This is the right one, isn't it? Gohan and Prince? Throw it in the chat window. Okay, so Vince, did you get a chance to talk about ACLs with Petrosar, or however you say that?
No, I haven't heard anything. I know, I think Anton made some comment there that he fixed a couple things, but I haven't heard anything regarding that.
Okay, wonder if we still need to do it. Okay.
I also made some comment on the Intel test cases, but those are really not enabled per se, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. Gohan, we had an interesting conversation yesterday. Was it Reshma, Hanif, all of us, John, Carney, about when we're not looking at the DPU specifically, but when we're looking, which has, the 2 ports, but we're looking at a smart switch implementation where there's multiple up to 30 something. And the packets come in and transit port 1, and they need to pick, how they're going to egress. We were thinking about how the selection happens there as we move forward, and we're wondering if we had thought about that much in the future. I was wondering, is that something we talk about here in this meeting?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. But maybe I didn't quite. Sorry, I was not able to join yesterday.
It's okay.
Yeah, but
So-
if someone
so-
can, describe. Yeah.
It's basically the decision for the exiting port, and it's not just the DPU, but when it comes to like a smart switch form factor. And I kind of talked to Michael about how it works today, with the ports and the load balancing and the cross wiring. But Reshma, maybe can you ask the question or make the statement?
Sure. Very quickly, we were discussing in the behavioral model meeting that for the packet that egresses after the CAPA mapping, we would need to update the MAC address, and we'll need to implement the basic routing in the BMV2. So there were questions whether we can just do default routing and so on and so forth. There were questions about how the packet egresses, whether it should egress coming in from one port, egress to another port, or should there be ECMP? Should there be, what amount of complexity that we should implement in BMV2 for routing? There were those questions, how the topology is. If we can get the view of the topology, then we can implement that in BMV2. That was the question.
Oh,
Vincent, would you like to? Yeah, please.
So I think we have one section in the SONiC HLD that covers this underlay routing.
Let me grab it.
Did you get a chance to look at that? I mean, if there are updates required, we can modify that section, but
Let me just go there because maybe that's the answer. So, SONiC HLD.
Guhan was also saying something.
oh no, I was just saying that you know, Prince has that I think the underlay routing requirement defined, right? So yeah.
yeah. So it's 3.3.5.
3.3.5. Okay, awesome. Bear with me. Get to. Okay, got it. Okay. So this is the appliance, and would that map also to, for example, a switch form factor? BGP with the Tor.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really not much difference there, right? So you know, you can, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so basically we need to update the destination MAC in the packet when we are doing the routing there. That part is not implemented in BMV2, so there were some questions. Is Mukesh on the line? Or Vincent might also add
The
some.
question is also, so it's one part of that question is this, and the second is how complex the routing needs to be. I don't think we want to do 5-level ACMP. I think it needs to be a simple LPM neighbor gateway resolution. But that's just me. It's not defined. I guess that's what we're asking. And the Intel test cases are an example of a simple XOP lookup, right?
So I think if there is no mapping, the one that we have captured here is like use the incoming packet source and destination and just swap it and send it back on the same port.
The MAC or what did you mention?
I thought you were asking to how to find how to derive the destination MAC, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some more details on that if we can add, it will be good. How it is connected. We heard from Marianne, maybe it will go to a gateway to port, something like that, and you know whether to use default gateway, things like that. So some more detail on that would be good. We don't have the MAC address part resolved yet, so that needs to be implemented in BMV2.
So maybe when you say BMV2 is adding to the dash pipeline, right? So it's not really, you know, you need to modify the BMV2. It's more about you know, adding those processing, underlay processing in the dash pipeline. Is that right, or is that my understanding correct? Or
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. So I think that maybe the Prince ask is that maybe they have still have some questions on, you know, what exactly when they try to implement that P4 path. Maybe, you know, they can have some conversation with you, and you know, we can clear and yeah. So
I think what's ambiguous in here is it's not clear. Like, does this mean that there's either just a single default route or no default route, or does this mean that there's like you know, a full prefix table and that may or may not have a default route? Like, it's not clear from like I think this is trying to describe something simple, but like you could interpret this as meaning like you just need to do full routing.
In the underlay, we can have a default route that's pointing to a gateway. But even if it is not present, then it's like it's mentioned, it can derive the MAC and port from the received packet. So I think maybe we can have a conversation to see all the scenarios, and I can update the document here to cover
Yeah,
those. Yeah.
It'd be nice to have the various scenario listed. It's like in this case you do this, in this case you do that. The list shouldn't be very long, right? If we do simple stuff.
Yeah, correct. I think maybe the clarification is that they don't know whether the appliance will get full routing table. I mean, maybe it's one route, it's doable. If it's a full routing to a whole LPM lookup table, maybe that's not necessary. I guess that's the question. Then we can clarify that. For the underlay, we only put the default route there, so they just do the default route and do the ECMP hash and send it out, right? So, I mean, that's the most simple way.
That's exactly what we need, Guhan, whether we need a default route, what kind of ECMP we are expecting, and how to update the destination MAC address. And that detail, if we can add, that will be very clear to everyone.
So does someone want to go into 3.3.5 and ask the questions and do a PR so that they can be seen?
Okay.
I think maybe Prince, I think it seems clear. We just need to clarify the exactly one, right? So, get rid of all this full routing table, let's clarify that, right? So there should be, we do not expect the underlay have a full routing table there.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can explain, you have the default route and then pointing to the next hop, right? So there will be two next hop, and then from next hop you get the neighbor and then get the MAC address. Therefore, you get the MAC address and then you will have the the ECMP, right? So in terms of ECMP, I guess
Go on, that's the problem. You're talking about ECMP, which is very complex already. Do we really want ECMP to be part of the Dash pipeline?
I think if you said the ECMP is constrained, it just always includes all the ports. Like, then that's like a simple thing. If you said no, like you can have all different subsets of ports as part of the ECMP, it gets to be more complicated.
No, I mean, could be that there are at least two ports, right? So then it could be that one port is down, then you don't do that, right? So that is possible. I mean, even in the smart switch pipeline, I think that that scenario is also possible because I understand that's an internal link, but we do observe CRC errors on those internal links, and in that case, we do have a mitigation to shut down those internal link, right? So I think that's possible.
Like I said, a lot of things are possible. I think we need the exact data from a data print standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean,
so therefore,
BNB2 is going to need it. Vendors will need it. So
yeah, but maybe because you guys are trying to push back the ECMP, right? So therefore, I'm trying to understand, what would be acceptable for you guys to do ECMP.
Look, I mean, from our perspective, we can do anything. Okay, so it's not like it's the pushback is just to try to make things simple. It's not like that it can't be done. It's just that if the actual requirement has like constraints that allows it to be simple, we'd like to exploit that. If the actual requirement says it has to be completely flexible and do everything that a router can do, then that's just more complicated. I think it's
totally agree. Okay, how about this, right? So I think we do have Prince, we do have some idea, right? So let's bring the proposal on the table, right? So because I think if we don't have a proposal, then people don't have a way to start discussion. So let's bring a proposal, a specific proposal on the table, and then we can discuss around it, right? So and then see, maybe there will be some pushback on some points, and let's discuss and close.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss that probably next week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just curious why we concerned on the ECMP. What's the complexity?
Take up more space
about?
or something?
No. Let's not go there, right? So we said we'll go with a specific proposal and we'll discuss that. I can imagine there are some concern on the ECMP. You know, like okay, do you need to look in inner header, all these kind of things, right? So, but let's bring a specific proposal that everybody knows what exactly it is, and then we can discuss, right?
so
On specific point.
Underlaid
So like
routing,
if you
right?
if
the
you
underlaid
think
routing, why we get the inner IP getting involved?
Well, no, I mean that's a point I want to discuss, right? So you know.
Okay.
So the thing about Dash is that like it's symmetrical, right? The amount of ingress traffic is like equal to the amount of egress traffic, right? With the exception of some, policy drops or whatever. And if you're doing ECMP into the Dash data plane, then like why wouldn't that be the same basis for doing ECMP out of the Dash data plane? Like it just seems like if it was your intention to do ECMP into it, you could use like whatever port the packet came in on as the basis for the port it should go out on. And like that it doesn't, that you don't really need to do full routing and fully flexible ECMP.
I understand the point, right? So I think we said we'll discuss next week. Bring a specific proposal and we can have a full discussion on that.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because a lot of things trade off, right? So there's different things to consider. Yeah. So we'll bring the proposal and justifications and we'll discuss.
And who's gonna bring the proposal?
I think
Not me.
I think
right?
Prince, right? So
Okay, Prince. Okay. All right, cool. Well, thanks you guys for bringing up that question the other day. I've been chasing it internally, so I appreciate it. So it's 9:46. We have 14 minutes left. Anyone else on the call have anything that they want to cover?
Maybe we need some more time. So if we can discuss in the behavioral model meeting or any other meeting next time, the scale aspect that we discussed yesterday.
Yep,
for
good.
the 200 gig card, we see 64 ENIs and 1024 VNets and
Now
flows.
remember too, yesterday we were looking at, that bigger table that was the hero test, which that's just a test to stress, the numbers used to stress, and then the scale and requirement, if you want to call it that, is set in the other documents, the SONiC HLD, and the packet transforms doc. So, but yeah, Niraj was going to help me with that. He said, make sure we go through it all together. So.
Sure. If it is per card or per HA pair,
because the original document was per card, remember?
Yes.
So like if you go here and you go, let's just go in the SONiC HLD to start off with, and the scale is, here 1.4. This is per card. And we also have
it's 200 gig card.
Yeah, and then if I go back and go into, this is document here. This is the other, scale per DPU / card. And since Merch is on the call, I will pop into the document where we have it all laid out. This was here.
But I believe the intent is to have all these 3 documents in sync and not have a disagreement between them.
Exactly.
We should have the same values everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. I think some, maybe it was Sanjay, maybe it was someone else, sorry about that. The interpretation was that the 200 gig DPU, when we mentioned these numbers, they were per HA pair, but if it is per card, that's fine too. Just want some.
My understanding here is that 64 numbers, and these numbers will be when one of them goes down. So basically under normal usage condition, it's 32 with half, but when one of them goes down and the HA, kicks in and one needs to take over all the work, it needs to support up to 64. So
during failover. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, if we can confirm that, then it's fine. John, did you have any other question related to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think like my concern was more with the connections per second and how to interpret connections per second within the context of HA, right? And does it mean that, one DPU is getting 3.75 million, the other DPU is getting 3.75 million, and then they're each syncing their 3.75 million to the other DPU, or is each getting half of that and then syncing that to the other one? And I think at least Pensando yesterday said that in the context of HA, the 3.75 was for the combined pair of data planes. And so, that's, I think we said yesterday that like that should just be clarified in this table, because it's not clear what the 3.75 million means within the context of HA.
I agree. I certainly agree. So did we get a clarification on that?
Not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We'll need to talk to Michael and Gerald. Again, this is just the hero test. It's just a test. But we'll get clarification. Because when this was written, I don't know that we had considered HA in the scenario. Had we, Marcia?
for the scale numbers, for sure, HA was considered, because the discussion was that under normal operation, it's 32 ENIs. But when one of the cards goes down and the other needs to pick up all the load, we'll need to be able to load in memory all the 64 ENIs, since it's 32 from one card, 32 from the other. So the test, it's testing kind of the worst case scenario, but under normal operation will be half of these values, day-to-day use. But again, the test tests the max. Now about CPS, that's a good question. I don't think we talked or we clarified there. So yeah.
Okay. We'll keep looking at it, John.
Okay, thanks.
You always give me the biggest task items.
Yeah, I'm going on what Pensando said yesterday. So, but if that's not correct, then that we need to know that.
Okay. All right. So,
Christine, the VNet scale is also still up in the air for Neeraj to come back, right? I think that was the other comment yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry guys, I'm still sick. Good talk. Good talk. Unless we have anything else for today. Anyone else? Chris, did you had something on deck before the end of December? Were you thinking you wanted to do something in the next couple of weeks? To prep us for? If it's a secret, no big deal.
No, I'm not ready to say anything yet. We're working on test cases.
Okay, great, awesome. Then
one question here, like say for the dash, do we have any like say milestone or targeting on say when we have the API will be released, or those kind of like say target date? Or anything like we can leveraging. This is Eddie from the Alibaba side. We have a couple. We're also interested into using the Dash APIs in our project.
Oh, I think that's a Prince Gohan question, probably.
Oh, we have some API already defined. I mean, maybe we can talk offline, on those things. Yeah. So.
And it is merged to SAI.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, I heard like say Microsoft has the smart switch will be released in this year, so it will be like say early this year or then later this year. Oh, sorry, next year, the top 2023. So I just wondering, like from timeline point of view, will we be able to leverage anything from here, or because right now I will see the Dash is more focusing on the VNI use cases, while Alibaba was more looking for the netting and the load balancing use cases.
I think maybe, you know, one thing, sorry, if you would, you know, if you, if it's possible that, I mean, it would be great if you can, you know, describe your scenarios, you know, in this forum, so we understand that whether, you know, whether your scenario is one of them has already been discussed, right? So then yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. We
All
would plan to. I had a chat with Christina before. Like we probably will want to have one slot, like to describe the Alibaba use cases.
All right.
Yeah, so we can continue probably like say maybe early the new year after the January.
Sure.
Like say we pick either first or second, like say week of the January, we will present the Alibaba use case.
Okay. Then maybe you can work with Christina to close that date, and we can put on the agenda.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I want to see that how much I can leveraging from the Dash community, and see that, because we also just shooting to launching our product next year.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, like say, if Microsoft already have some thought on that, then we can leverage it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit me, ping me and I'll schedule.
Yeah, I'll ping you
time.
and Christian. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great.
So, Johan, it sounds like you have a little bit of what I have.
Yeah. Go ahead, maybe I'll ping you sometime like this week. Let's have a quick chat, because I have a meeting with Li Huan also. He was want me to talk to you and Christine on that.
Yeah, sure. Ping me. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording then. And don't get mad, but I forgot to record the HA meeting yesterday. So that was my